How you doing, guys? Thank you for coming back to another live broadcast of Cobra TV. You guys are amazing. Thank you for being here. There really isn't a special topic for tonight. There's no big theme, although Paul Weir, the sound director for No Man's Sky at Hello Games, he's been tweeting, he's been answering a lot of people's questions that tweet at him. Peaceful Gamer yet again asked him if there was any new content as far as sound goes, new songs or new sound effects or whatever in this new update 1.09 that we just got. And he tweeted back by saying that there's nothing in this new, it was just bug fixes, but that will be part of, the sounds will be part of a new content update that's getting ready to hit very soon. So I cannot wait to see what that is. We're going to have some people come on the show tonight, talk about No Man's Sky, talk about your adventures, and if you want to bring up another game, don't be afraid to. Go ahead and bring up another game or something that you're looking forward to, or these subcasts, they're meant for, they're meant for No Man's Sky. But I think that, it's okay for it to be a format for you to open up. But we're going to have a guest come on the show. He's another YouTuber, and I just got turned on to his YouTube channel, and I think his name is Diggs. We'll find out here shortly, but we're going to go ahead and add him to the call. First, let me see if he's ready. So how's everybody doing tonight? Can everybody hear me okay? I'm not sure. I'm doing things a little bit differently, so that way the recording comes out a little bit more clear than it has in the past. Okay, it looks like people can. Awesome. All right, so we're going to go ahead and get Diggs on the call here. Hello.
Hey.
Hey,
can you hear me?
Yeah, buddy. Yeah, I can hear you loud and clear. How you doing, man?
Perfect. Pretty good.
That's good to hear. Good to hear. So, what brings you on tonight? I checked out your YouTube channel, and the group one. I couldn't quite figure out if you guys were making a game or talking to a developer.
So we have a group channel, Theory Forge, and we started that discussion group primarily to talk about EverQuest Next and EverQuest Next Landmark.
Awesome.
But it's also a main focus of MMORPGs in general. And so we did that pretty strong from 2013 through earlier this year, I think. And then one guy was moving, another guy was having a baby and work and all that stuff. And plus Landmark released and all this stuff. EverQuest Next got canceled. So we let that go by the wayside for the most part. Although we were also we had Revival Cast on the Theory Forge channel. And that one was following the game Revival. And that one got canceled in March.
Don't you hate that?
Yeah, another MMORPG. And these are revolutionary MMORPGs, so it's not surprising that they would have some challenges. Both of them, ended up losing funding. Right now, I'm actually turned on to Dual Universe, but I kind of see Dual Universe as a flip side of the coin from No Man's Sky. It's like the multiplayer version of No Man's Sky to me. But I'm an alpha team member for Dual Universe, so I'm following that pretty strongly right now too. But I'm absolutely addicted to No Man's Sky.
Yes, so am I.
So
it's such a weird thing, right? I mean, I have played games my whole life, right? And I know that there's some things that seem like they're missing in the game, and sometimes I walk away from No Man's Sky feeling a little bit empty. But it's the only game that I've ever sat down before and said, okay, 30 minutes, an hour only tops. 5 hours go by and I'm still playing a darn game. It's like, wow, there's definitely something to a game that if it could sit you in a chair for 5 hours, if it could sit you in a game for an hour, but it does, it keeps you there. And I don't know what it is. It's okay. No Man's Sky to me is a very ambient game for an ambient gamer. It is a very poetic game to where, say you're playing Mario, back in the olden days when I was playing Mario as a kid, I wish I could just turn my character around and just jump into the forest and just see what the heck is back there, And if I could do that in Mario, if I could just jump off into the background and glitch back there and go check it out, that's probably what I would have been doing in Mario instead of saving the princess. And, No Man's Sky seems like that to me. It seems like it's this setting for an amazing game that you can just wander aimlessly throughout this creation and do whatever you want. And a lot of people have created for themselves like little things that they do in No Man's Sky to give them like little goals or whatever. But to me, man, No Man's Sky, it's a very poetic game, and that's what it was from the start. Just a poetic game.
One of the things that I love that I think is really hitting me strongly is, I'm older, and I'm not really a gamer. I used to work for Activision, and the guys at Activision would say I'm not a gamer because I don't play a lot of games, but when I find a game I like, I play it to death. And that's exactly what's happened with No Man's Sky. But so back in I was reading sci-fi back in the 70s, and so these landscapes that we're finding in No Man's Sky really evoke these book covers. That was one of their goals, to evoke these book covers that we saw back in the 70s, 60s and 70s sci-fi novels. And I feel like no matter what how these worlds are put together, I'm taking like thousands of snapshots because they look like book covers. Everything I take a snapshot of, whether it's a black hole or a desert moon, it evokes a sci-fi book cover, and it's like I get these phenomenal shots.
Right.
So there's all kinds of things, but just so I'm an explorer in general. When I take the Bartle score test, I don't know if you know what that is, but it's a guy came up with this test to track 4 major play styles in RPGs.
Okay.
Explorer, killer, achiever, and socializer. And my explorer is like 90 something, my socializer is like 80 something, and my kill rating is 0. And so that's what when I play RPGs, multiplayer RPGs, I run into trouble because I want to go in the cave and I want to explore every little nook and cranny. And usually the people I end up playing with just want to kill stuff as efficiently as possible. So they're like, yeah, we killed everything, we can leave. And I'm like, no, there could be treasure over here. We might discover a clue over here. Let's explore the whole dungeon. Yeah. And so this is a dream for me because there's so much stuff to explore. And it's not just the environments, but one of the things I love when I'm watching videos like yours or Gray Still Plays is you start going and you're like, yeah, today I'm just going to go and I'm going to try to find Atlas Pass. And then you're like, what the hell is that over there? Wait, I got to go over there and check that out. What's that question mark? I got to see, there's a question mark over there. Wait. I got to try and get this element. You get distracted so easily in this game. There's so much stuff to do. And so for me, I would go in with goals. I thought my goal was to, or my focus was going to be cataloging the creatures, but it turned out that one of my first goals was to translate all of the languages as much as possible. And then I'm really still captivated by the portals and how do we activate the portals and can we find a way to activate the portals. So for me, there's all these different things that just drive me at different points. And I never know exactly where I'm going to go. I'm normally a pacifist when I play games. Like I said, my kill rating is 0, but there would be times where I'm trying to upgrade my stuff and I need a neutrino module, so I have to kill a sentinel.
Yeah.
Because that'll give me a neutrino module. And so I go hunting, or, I finally just recently, this past weekend, I think I started focusing on the distress calls and killing ships and all that stuff, which I had been, the past 3 weeks just avoiding. But there's just so much to grab your attention for me, from my point of view. It's just the only downside for me is that there is no multiplayer, and I would love to see what other people look like or
Well,
hang out
hang
with
in
them
there.
for a little bit.
Hang in there.
You know,
I think that they left the
Yeah.
the simple part of the multiplayer out, the rare occurrence that you could finally, or see somebody. I think that was left out because in the PlayStation EU magazine, he mentions that after the game releases, he would like to do what's called No Man's Sky Online. Now we know he's got a huge influence on Grand Theft Auto. He's never said it out in public, but if you look at the game, the police style, the wanted level style, it has a very Grand Theft Auto-y influence to it. So, we have Grand Theft Auto Online, then he mentions No Man's Sky Online, and then he also says, he adds on to that where you can, warp to your friend's location. You can warp to your friend's world, and they can warp to yours. And he said, I think he said they definitely want to take the community lead on that. And that was, like 2 months ago, maybe not even that much.
Yeah.
Then he mentions all that. And so I feel like maybe, if you're a developer and you're spending all this money on renting servers or setting up servers, why implement that for the rare chance that maybe 5 people are going to see each other throughout the duration of until they can actually set up the servers to properly do a co-op system better. So maybe they decided, okay, well, let's wait on that until we get set up for. I'm not saying that the No Man's Sky Online is going to be the name of it, even though he said it, but let's wait until we get the No Man's Sky Online set up.
Yeah. And why have base building if people aren't going to be able to see your base?
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
So and it's fine for me. There's so much for me to do in the game that I can actually wait. I'm willing to wait because it's so probably previous to this, my favorite single player game has been Kingdoms of Amalur Reckoning, which came out in 2012 or something like that.
Yep.
And for me, this is $60 on if this was an MMORPG, well, no, it doesn't satisfy my craving for an MMORPG because there's no multiplayer. But for a single player game, this is I've played my $60. It's well spent, and I'm still happy with the game. So
another thing I think is weird about it is there's no end to it. So we've played 120. A lot of people played that much, and they're like, oh fuck, oh darn, I'm bored with this game, But you played a long time. You got a lot of entertainment out of that game, and it doesn't. There was no end for you, so to speak. Because once you got to the center, you started a different path, so to speak. So there was no closure, really. So it seems like an open, incomplete experience for a lot of people. But so many hours.
I think there comes a point where you may feel like you're done. So I'm trying to get to the end. I'm like one jump away from the center of the Euclid galaxy. And then I'm planning to play through a second galaxy at least, especially now that I know how to play the game. And so I can see, okay, you've got all the languages, you've got all the upgrades, you've made it to the center, you've got all your achievements, and now you're waiting for new content. So there comes a place probably where you're ready for new content. But there's a lot of stuff to do. If you just race to the center, well, yeah, okay, I guess you say, well, this was easy. I beat the game because I made it to the center and that was the main goal. But if you're trying to unlock all the languages, if you're trying to figure out what's going on with the portal, if you're trying to get all your achievements up to 10, if you're trying to complete the Atlas path, there's all kinds of stuff for you to do in this game that if you just race to the center, you're missing a ton of it. And people are complaining about the repetition in the types of creatures or worlds. But I kind of find that refreshing in some ways because life tends to generate itself in certain patterns.
Yeah, exactly.
And so I kind of expect to see those patterns. But there's a wide variety of worlds that I go to, and I love going to a dead moon with huge cliffs. I'm like, oh my God, that looks crazy. But if it's a dead moon, that's what I expect it to look like. Or going to an extreme planet. I love going there. That's another achievement that was really fun for me to work on getting. Um, and then you go to a super lush planet and it seems like you want to have a vacation, although then you're paranoid because you're not sure that you can see the enemy creatures there, like what's hiding beneath all that foliage.
Yeah.
And so for me, it's just been adventure, adventure, adventure. And I've been loving the heck out of the game. It's like no multiplayer is the only thing I can complain about, and everything else I'm just loving. But I'm an explorer, so I think it's a perfect game for an explorer. If your play style is killer, then no, you're not going to enjoy this game because the combat isn't in depth enough. If your play style is achiever and you want really high challenge, then no, this game isn't for you because this is a great game for a casual gamer who loves to explore. And lots of hardcore gamers want a more hardcore experience than that. So,
yeah.
And there's lots of gamers who are hardcore gamers, and so this is not a hardcore killer game.
Right.
No.
Yeah. I think a good way to fix the combat system, at least for ship battles and dogfights, I think is to take off the darn auto aim. I think it would make it so much more cooler to have that. Oh my God, I'm missing. Oh no, he's on point. He's getting me.
But can't you just take the upgrade off? Isn't that an upgrade?
I don't think so. I think I've always had auto aim from the very start.
I think it was more difficult for me to fight in the beginning. So I think if I wanted a greater challenge, I would just not have the upgrades.
I don't know. I have not been upgrading my ship. And the reason why I haven't been doing that is because I'm waiting to put all that time and effort in crafting all those blueprints that I'm collecting into the ship that I want to stay with. Rather than going off and farming and getting all that stuff and building it just to tear it down. And because it seems like when you tear down your tech, you don't keep all of it. It seems like you only get like 50% of it back.
That's right. That's what it seems like. Yeah. So I went through, and I think I finished like all of the Korvax language. I'm trying to think, and then I pretty almost inadvertently completely upgraded my exosuit. And so, I don't know, like 2 weeks in, I was finally ready to work on upgrading my ship. And so I just went through and did the method where I would go to the crashed ships and I would break down their upgrades.
Yeah.
And then add it back in.
Right.
And that was great. For me, that was another story moment because part of the concept is that I'm kind of like a rogue pirate explorer. And this was my moment where I'm dismantling these down ships.
Yeah, exactly.
And smuggling the stuff out of them. And so, I don't know. There's all this little stuff in there that for me is great story-wise that other people seem not to care about, but for me it just is like a grand adventure. I feel like I'm a one-man Star Trek, the old series character, and just stuck out there by myself and trying to survive.
When you're doing that whole scavenging the ships and everything like that, you're going to the terminals and you're finding the crashed ship, and you never know what you're going to see when you get there. You always think in the back of your mind, it's like, maybe this will be a really cool ship that I'll decide to keep anyway. But it has like a DayZ feeling to it. When you're like that scavenging portion of DayZ, when you're going around. So,
one of the games that I was kind of following because I was doing the EverQuest Next and Landmark stuff is H1Z1. And I got into the alpha for that, but I'm not really a survival zombie guy, but I like the way the survival stuff works in No Man's Sky because there's something about it that just feels organic I guess is the word. Like I'm not thinking constantly, oh, I have to survive. It's just part of what I have to do. Sometimes I have to repair stuff. I have to keep everything up to snuff.
Yeah, you're right. It does feel
Uh,
organic. I'm glad you brought that up. It does. Just like in real life, you're not scavenging around for food. It's pretty organic. You're hungry, you eat. You know what I
yeah,
mean? And in No Man's Sky, your life support is dropping low. You just go ahead and refill it.
yeah.
You're right. It does. It is a lot because survival games are not my thing. Although I do love playing DayZ. Because I hate the fact that I have to eat so much and constantly
Right, that was
find
my
water
Yep,
but
yep.
like you said, No Man's Sky does a really good job of making it seem organic. That's a good way to put it.
Yeah, because I think in H1Z1, and I get the impression that that's the way it is for the other survival games. Just, we have to pick berries and all this. Like, I'm constantly trying to eat and stay hydrated that it's too difficult to focus pretty much on anything else. And here, a lot of times I get to focus on whatever, doing this, finding a ship, and then, oh yeah, I've got to remember to eat, or I've got to not eat, but I've got to remember to have enough stuff to, keep my radiation levels, my radiation shield up, or my toxicity shield up.
Right.
But yeah, so there just became a point where I was ready to focus on the ship. And I'm fashion over function, so I had to find a little insecty type like ship. And that meant I was overlooking tons and tons of ships that I could have taken because they had, the extra slot, but I didn't want that ship because it didn't have the right look to it.
Right.
But I would just scavenge that one and wait, and I finally got a ship. It pretty much looks like the beginning ship, actually, but yeah, I just waited till I found it. I think I'm only at like 45 slots, but I have the ship that I like, so I don't need those 3 extra slots.
Yeah.
I'm good to go.
Yeah, I can agree with you. I think I'm still on a 27 slot ship. But yeah, I don't. You mentioned that you were at the center. A lot of players. I don't know if you found any as well, but a lot of players are finding Omega Tech.
So I found an Omega combat combat augmentation for my multi-tool. I think I might have one other Omega, but I have not found an Omega warp drive.
Right. I'm wondering if that's the biggest question. Is there an Omega warp drive? And if you had that when you warped to the center, would you have a different outcome?
Yeah, so I'm going to bring that up because this just happened last night. I finally got to the end. So this weekend, I was thinking I was pretty close. So like Friday, I think, is when I realized, Thursday or Friday is when I realized that I had messed up the alpha. I had messed up the Atlas path. So I ended up with 6 Atlas stones, and I guess I thought that we could buy them back.
You can.
But I just wasn't coming across any, so it took too long, and I was like, yeah, I'm just going to go ahead and accept the black holes. And so I started this weekend traveling through the black holes, and I thought by the end of Saturday I'd be done, and I thought by the end of Sunday I'd be done. And I was fairly close. So last night I was about 45,000 light years away, and I'm calculating. Actually, like 46. I was like, okay, so that's going to be every time I go through a black hole, it's taking me about 2,000 light years closer to the center. So that should be 20 more jumps, and every 5 jumps, I've got to go and harvest and re-upgrade my hyperdrive. And I remembered your last video saying something about getting to the center at like 6,000. That's as close as you can get. So I get to 6,000. It's like midnight, and I'm like, I'm almost done. Work tomorrow. And I'm still going, and I'm like, oh man, now I've got to make 5 more warp cells for my hyperdrive, and I've got to get all the. And plus, my upgrades were breaking down, so every I don't know, twice, like I had to completely repair my warp core theta, or else I wouldn't be able to jump as far. And that took quite a while to gather the resources for that. Yeah. So now it's like 2 a.m., it's like 3 a.m. I'm like, I'm like 1,000 light years away. That damn Cobra TV said that it's 6,000 and it's not 6,000, and I gotta finish this tonight. So I got about 780 light years away, and now I'm at my final named star, and it says my next jump will take me to the question mark center of the galaxy. But that does say I'm 6,369.2 light years away.
Right.
Even though the star that I'm at says I'm 780 light years away.
So what's the deal with that? That cannot be a mathematical mistake, I mean...
Yeah, it's just mind-boggling. And it's telling me that I need to upgrade my hyperdrive to be able to make that jump. And there's a progress bar, and I'm not sure if that's progressing through time, because it's like seems like it's gonna it's only going one tick every, I don't know, like minute or something like that. It's like a really slow uptick on that progress bar. So I was having several things will break down each time you or an upgrade will break every time you go through a black hole.
Right.
And so a lot of this stuff, I was just like, I don't care about the phase cannon sigma. I don't care about the laser beam tau. I'm just going to jump. I just want to keep jumping as fast as possible. So I had a lot of broken stuff. I think I have 4 broken upgrades left, but I'm still not even halfway at the progress bar mark. So again, I have to see tonight or tomorrow whether or not that's going to progress through time, or maybe I'll have to repair all of my upgrades, but I'm not sure. So,
I think that,
but it's good to be there. I'm glad I'm where I'm at.
Yeah,
finally.
I'm going to be getting there here pretty soon, and I'm just going to stay there. I'm not jumping in because there's just too much mystery. It just doesn't seem like, I mean, is it a mistake that one says 6,000 light years away, the other one says 500 and some light years away? Mm-hmm. Is it a mistake, or is it something that we have to figure out? I mean, so a spoiler for anybody that's listening, when you jump to the center, it's like, okay, it goes, and all of a sudden, nope, reject, and it pulls away. Mm-hmm. So if we're supposed to be getting to the center and we're not going to the center, something's got to be up. That's the only thing I can come. It can't be that big of a mistake on Hello Games' part.
Yeah, so I'm wanting to start over in a new galaxy, and that's I'm planning to tell a story through my videos. So now that I know how to play, I want to restart the videos that I've been taking.
Yeah.
And just capturing my gameplay, but I want to splice that back together in different ways to actually tell a story. So I do want to start over. But like part of what I was wondering with the Atlas path was in order to open this, to activate the portals, do we need to have translated all of the Atlas language before we complete the Atlas path? Like there's all kinds of stuff that I just want to test out, actually.
Yeah.
There's so some mysteries there.
Yeah, there definitely is mysteries. There's so many things about the portals. Is it something that they turned off and didn't activate in the coding? Is it, if we go back and we listen to Sean, he said you had to have a certain weapons combination. That was the simplest thing, as he put it. So to think that maybe we need to learn the Atlas language, I don't know, unless they added more of a puzzle element to it on top of the weapons combination. But I think at the end of the day, it's either A, they have it turned off at the moment, or B, it's a weapons combination.
Yeah, and I was trying to see if I could get all of my weapons. So, if you look over at the right, you'll see the circles that'll tell you, like some will be complete circles. And I was wondering if we have to get
Ooh.
like the weapons thing at a complete circle, or how many circles do we have to complete? Um, does it have to be a combination of exosuit, weapon, and multi-tool and spaceship? So I kind of want to play around with that too, and I did play around with it a little bit, but um, I've maxed out upgrades like on my multi-tool, and that doesn't have that hasn't given me complete circles and everything. So I don't know. That's just a fascinating thing. But there's all kinds of stuff to like take a look at, and that's kind of one of the reasons why the game isn't done just when you reach the center. It could be if you want it to be, but there's all kinds of other stuff to try and figure out.
Oh, there's so much, man. There's so much. Like, if you wanted to be an upgrade king and upgrade everything, your suit, your multi-tool, your ship, there are so many puzzles just to that alone. Like, how do you stack properly the way Hello Games actually designed it to be fully potentially at its full potential? How do you stack your tech together? Is it a square? Is it a straight line? Is it a cross? You know what I'm saying? Like,
Right.
you get bonuses for
Right.
the way you stack your stuff, and that and alone is a mystery.
Do you need a specific ship configuration that will allow you
That's
to
another mystery.
do it in the way
Right.
that would unlock that? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So for me, it's a blast, and I love watching other people play. I love watching people talk about their experiences, because for me, it's kind of a dream come true, and I'm addicted. So
Yeah.
there's stuff to figure out.
So much we don't know. I mean, the V2 and the V3 passes, as somebody in the chat brought up, they lead to rooms with plants, and one is a room that has a hologram of a star system. Why?
Right.
What is that? Just something cool? I mean,
Right, and it matches the diagrams that
on
are
the portals.
on the portal.
I know. I know.
Yeah. So
I don't know, man. I mean,
it finds that star system.
if Hello Games knows that the world is trying to figure out this puzzle, this mystery, and they haven't come out and said, guys, we didn't put that stuff in yet. Sorry. No, it's like, you would think somebody would come out and say that, because they got to know that the whole world is like, oh, No Man's Sky is a puzzle. And people are like trapped at a freaking portal in their videos for like 12 hours straight.
Yeah, and I think that's, for me, again, that's fine. I am happy knowing that they're working on some extra stuff, and hopefully they will stick around and add some extra stuff for us.
Oh, they will.
But even if it's that the portals aren't activated and it doesn't matter what we do, right now it's impossible to figure out right now. It's still a cool mystery to track. Even just stumbling upon a portal.
Yeah. Gave me
My
goosebumps when
God,
I came
and then
across
trying to
mine.
remember the path. No, so one thing that I wish they would add is some kind of mapping or compass or something that's a little bit better than the waypoint system. Well, so I'm on PS4, and so I can't turn off the HUD to take my screenshots. So those waypoints like mess up my shots.
Yeah. I feel you on that one, dude.
A lot of worlds I go to, I'm like, I'm not touching anything. I'm just traveling around taking snapshots
Yeah.
because I want them to look nice, and I don't want a stupid waypoint in the way.
Right.
But yeah, I wish that it was a little bit easier to be able to find your way back to places that you've been. That's even including going through the galactic map. I'd love to be able to trace back to my, somehow when I think maybe because I didn't set a waypoint when on my first jump, I don't think I was able to find my way back to my starting world. But I wish that was set up a little bit better, so it was easier to find your way back to worlds you've already visited. So that's the second thing I think I think those are the two major things that I would want multiplayer and somewhat of a better mapping system. But yeah, and then I want to pay more attention when I have time and I settle down to really check out the differences between the colored stars.
It's amazing.
Because I have to some degree. I know if I want a more extreme, I'll probably go to like a red or a green star instead of just going to a yellow one. But I haven't really taken the time to explore that fully. But I will at some point.
I'm starting, I'm in G class systems right now. Or is it G or is it E? They're green stars predominantly, and most of the planets are toxic. I don't know if that's just a rough, like a run of luck that I'm having, that every star system I have seems like most of the planets either are toxic or they have that toxic look to it. But yeah, I cannot remember for the life of me what star system I was in where the planets were really lush, or they were really snowy, real wintry like, beautiful planets. I want to say that it was K, maybe K class star systems, but from my last 5 hours of game time that I had today, going through G, I think it's G, but the green stars, I gotta say I can't wait to get out of them, because I'm having I'm having a hard time enjoying coming across the toxic planets, because they're probably my least favorite in appearance. Just because I don't know if they're just that, they're not familiar, they're weird, they're different. But I do like the purple grass planets, the blue grass planets, and things like that. So I think the next time I play, I'm going to see if I can get off that beaten path. But yeah, there's different resources in them too. Like there's exotic resources.
Yeah. And so it was funny because I was in, so somebody in the Reddit this weekend posted a picture of red spheres on the ground and was asking what they were, and people said those are
Gravitino balls.
Defunct. They said they're defunct Gravitino balls. And then they were saying, it could be a different shade depending on what type of world you are on. And I was saying, for me, I've run across like 4 or 5 varieties of Gravitino balls, and one of them I described as being in this kind of like a shell or a nut. And when you get close to it, this tentacle pops out the top of it with a light bulb on it.
Yeah.
And they were like, no, I think that's a albumin pearl. And I was like, no, I know those are in like these little, I think for me, they've been in like little pea pods. So I could see why you would think my description was that. But no, I came across it again on a second world where it's in this little nut thing. And so that's the other thing that I love. So I like the familiarity of the elements almost always looking the same when you discover them on a planet.
Right.
So they're recognizable. And again, for my story purposes, that kind of weaves in really well. But I love that there's different ways or different appearances for the Gravitino balls or the albumin pearls, and then some of that stuff is like really yucky, like I forget what the thing is called, but it's like these blobs that are moving about and bubbling and boiling, and you slice them in half, and if you hit the bottom of it, it just cuts them off and they roll down a hill.
Whoa, I haven't even come across that.
If you hit them right, they split open, and it'll give you a certain kind of element. I forget which element. I think it starts with a C. But some of the stuff you come across is kind of creepy and yucky and probably smelly if you were there. But I love the variety. But sometimes it's comforting to know that there's familiar shapes too. And then the little stuff that pop out at you, that attack you, the little one crab-like things that race around. And then on the flip side, there's the giant ones that will stalk you, but they're so slow. You're like, really? You're gonna come after me? No, you're dead.
Yeah.
And some of that stuff, I wonder. I was wondering last night because a couple of them came after me, and my multi-tool is upgraded. Like I've got that Combat Omega thing, so it's really easy for me to take stuff out with my mining beam or my boltcaster. But I was like, so why even attack? Like, I just kill you in seconds. It doesn't seem like, evolutionarily speaking, that would be really helpful for you, but it's a simulation anyway, so maybe it doesn't matter.
Have you come across the bipedal Gek creatures yet on the planets?
I've come across some bipedal looking stuff. I don't know if they necessarily look like Gek, but I've come across several kinds of Wookiees and
you lucky
little
person,
reptile
you.
things. Yeah.
I've come across the reptile like kinds of creatures, but I have not come across anything that looks like a Teletubby or a Care Bear or a Gek. And I'm jealous. I'm jealous every time I go onto Facebook and I see people like, hey, look what I just found. And Seraphim, one I know, he's been a subscriber of mine for God knows how long, and he's got a YouTube channel himself. He actually posted a video of these little Gek creatures the size of little pebbles.
Wow.
Yeah, that's what I said. I'm like, because he told me, he messaged me saying, hey, I got little tiny people on my channel. I'm like, what are you talking about, little tiny people? You know, and I thought, okay, we're just probably just short. No, these things are like the size of little pebbles.
I haven't come out across super tiny ones, but little small elf size or leprechaun size.
Wow.
And it's kind of phenomenal. So like I also came across like a cow with butterfly wings, so it was like actually floating in the air with the wings, even though it was the size of a cow. It wasn't running across. It was floating. So I like stuff like that. Like the wings actually let it fly, so it flies. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, our suit nullifies the gravity. You know what I mean? It adjusts for the gravity, so we're on the ground. But who knows? I mean, that thing could probably fly with those little teeny tiny wings, and I thought it was so cool when I came across my first one. But who knows? It could be because it is low gravity on that planet.
Yeah.
But those are the cool things, the fun things that you can kind of just play around with in your mind when you see strange stuff in No Man's Sky. There's no written rule that says, hey, it's low gravity, that's why these things are flying. You can think of that on your own.
Yep. And then I also wonder, I guess that's one of the things that I looked forward to playing multiplayer. One of the reasons was because Sean Murray said that's the way you would be able to tell what you are. The other person could tell you if you're a Gek or a Viking or a Korvax, or maybe we're a Gray.
Oh yeah, the Gray files. Yeah.
Who knows? That's fascinating too. I'd really love to be able to find out what, are we all? Because the way Sean said it, it seems like we could be, each of us could be a different race.
Yeah.
Sometimes I wonder, like, if I feel low to the ground, I'm wondering if that means I'm a Gek. But,
sometimes I feel low to the ground, too, on certain planets. I think it's just because sometimes, if there's, like, tall grass, maybe it just feels like you're low. I don't know. But, I've gotten that feeling, too, here and there.
Mm-hmm.
It's weird.
But yeah, there's so much. So when I go through star systems, I don't think I've gone through a system where all of the planets seem to be one type. It seems like I generally get a variety of snow, toxicity, and radiation. Sometimes I've been on planets where there's been both heat and snowstorms.
Yeah.
And the way those cycle through, it can be fascinating. Double heat storms or double snowstorms. That's crazy to think about.
Yeah, it really is.
But yeah, I think some of the star systems are more prone to have extreme planets. Um, I think that's one of the color codes, and then one of them is more likely to have lush planets, so a lot of fauna and flora on it, from what I understand. But I didn't realize that you could tell by star whether it was going to be star color or alpha system, whether or not it was going to be toxic or not. But that's something to pay more attention to.
Right. Yeah. The green stars I've been in, because I'm getting ready to do a reading on James Swallow's Ashes and Iron. And I wanted initially to be able to recreate the experiences through footage and gameplay. But I'm having a hard time coming across the elements that are in the story, because I have to find, like a black rockish type planet, which I've seen several of those when I first started playing. I haven't come across any in a while. But here today I was looking for that planet, and I seem to go into these green star systems, these green stars, and every single planet I was landing on was freaking toxic, and all I wanted to do was find a black rock planet so I could do this video. And so I think what I'm going to do now, I'm not going to be able to find that planet, and it has to have creatures on it at the same time as look barren, and it has to have very active sentinels that will attack me to where I can get a 5-star wanted level and get a walker. Not going to happen. All those elements together is not going to happen. So I think I'm just going to walk through a beautiful planet and just do the reading. But
it might be so. As you get closer to the center, it might be easier. But I think more importantly, for me, moons have been more likely to be barren and give you the black rock type aspect to it. So you might want to splice, a bunch of worlds together.
That's a good idea.
So one of the things that I did when I was last night, an experience that I had that I was thinking of today might be helpful with Ashes and Iron. Oh, and I came across I watched somebody go to like a Gek monument or a Viking monument, and they mentioned Ashes and Iron.
Really?
It was Viking. It was really funny. Yeah.
What did it say exactly? Or not verbatim, but
it was mentioning something about the Sentinels. It seems like these Sentinels have a plan or something like that, but they're, they aren't body and blood. And then something, they're something Ashes and Iron.
Wow.
And so that was really cool. I would not have been paying attention if you hadn't brought up Ashes and Iron, this story earlier today.
Yeah.
But so there was a moment last night where I was at the top of a cliff and I was looking down, way down, and I could see that there were those predator crab-like creatures way far at the bottom. So I was just sniping them off, and I decided to also snipe off Sentinel, and they tried to come after me, but they couldn't quite reach me at the top of the cliff.
Right.
So that did go all the way from 1 level all the way up to 5. And it stayed at 5. Just leaving the planet surface did not reset it.
Really?
And when I got out to space, spaceships were sent after me. They deactivated before they got to me, actually. I got to that 5th wanted level. But so I was thinking that if you, because there's a moment where in the story where it's looking down at some other body, like an exosuit.
Yeah.
That's on the ground. And I was thinking, if you're standing at a cliff and you can get the Sentinels to be looking at, other stuff that's on the ground way below you, it may give the appearance that it's a body. So you might be able to fudge that particular image a little bit if you give it some distance. But Yeah, I've been loving your mock-ups. I don't know what you've been calling them, but with your NPCs and the portal talking and all that stuff, it's been a lot of fun to
I'm
watch
just
those
trying to
too.
make people laugh during a time where
Yeah.
they may be disappointed. I get it. I understand why people are disappointed, but I have faith that the game's going to get so much better during updates or through updates, and I don't think Hello Games is going to rest until they have a really cool product on their hands.
And it's funny to me the stuff that people are flipping out over because, like worms. There are no giant worms. Well, there's some big space flying or not. There's some big air worms flying around in the air, if you want to call those worms or whales or whatever. And so, have I run across one of those giant worms from like in Dune? No. But do I have to? No. Do I have to come across a, I don't know what, 100-foot dinosaur? No. Like there's some pretty big creatures in there. It's good enough. So for me, there's just all kinds of stuff that I've been running across that feel great to me. But I guess if you promise, or you say that stuff's going to be in the game, if it's not in the game, people will flip out.
Yeah.
Uh,
I get it. I mean, people have a right to be upset. It's fine. But I, the game's so poetic. It really is. I mean, it's just poetry. It's visual poetry, and I just wish people could see it
um,
for that.
well, yeah, I mean, I'll be walking around and see three moons, or I'll be on a small moon and there's a giant planet out in the sky that's just taking up the whole expanse of the sky, and it can be pretty crazy.
Yeah.
But again, just walking around and seeing the sci-fi buildings, and along with my spaceship, and a moon, and the giant mushrooms, because some of these like mushroom tentacled mushroom things that they have are just very evocative of the sci-fi books I used to look at when I was a kid.
Right.
It feels like I'm wandering through these sci-fi stories that I used to read about back in my youth. So for me, it's perfect. And I don't know if you're, a 20 something and you didn't have that experience, if that's not, part of your um, life experience, it might not be resonating the same way as it is with me. So
Yeah. It kind of reminds me a little bit of the movie What Dreams May Come. When he was able to pass over
oh,
into the afterlife and he was living inside one of his wife's paintings.
yeah.
It's kind of like that. It's kind of like living
hmm
inside those games we played as kids or those book
yeah,
covers we used to stare at as kids. It's
yeah.
being in there, I know that there's not, you've killed 500 of this. You level up to level 50. Good job, Commander. Now return to base. There's nothing like that in the game. And I think that's where it kind of gets lost a little bit because then people are like, well, what do I do? Where do I, what? What do you want me to do?
Well, and again, I think that's because lots of people are coming through with the mentality of how do I beat the game?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
if you're
Oh,
coming
yeah.
through with how do you beat the game, it's not really that type of a game. But there's all kinds of other goals. Like I said, just even finding an extreme planet, what does it mean to be an extreme planet? Like it took a while for me to figure out what that was. And then once I was there, then, it wasn't super challenging for me to, get that achievement, but it
Yeah.
took a while for me to get that achievement, and it was fine for me. I'm not necessarily looking for high challenge. But another thing that I think I came across today on Reddit was a complaint about the NPCs. But for me, there were some stories like it was great. So going into the game, I had put together this list of character likes and dislikes, and on my character sheet, the background I was creating for my character,
Uh huh.
for my story, was going to be that I love the Korvax. I like the Gek, and I hate the Viking because they're too warrior race, and I'm a pacifist. And then I start playing, and I'm like, those whatever Gek. The Viking, I can deal with the Viking, but the Gek. No, I'm gonna. So, like, when it was time for me to go through the achievement where I destroy ships, I went to a Gek planet and I hung out at the landing bay, and I just killed them every time they went to land. I would just kill them, and racked up.
Isn't
points.
that fun? That's what I do sometimes, man. I hang out at those little trade stations and I just shoot the ships.
Yeah.
The Sentinels hardly ever come after you.
Yeah. And for me, that's the emergent gameplay, because I was not expecting that going in.
Yeah.
But there's little stories, and I remember when the first inkling that I got, I was helping out some kind of sketchy Gek was asking me to help him do some sketchy thing, and when I was done, I was like, that guy's a dick. I don't want to be helping this guy. And so for me, the NPCs are kind of fun to deal with. And again, I'm hoping to, when I go through the play, the next time, starting with my new galaxy, I'm hoping to really pay attention and see what the different stories are with each NPC that I run across.
Have you come across the Viking asking you to help them fix a warhead to kill the Gek race?
I can't remember.
That was interesting. Interesting.
Yeah.
I'm like, what? Some of the options were like, help the Viking warriors, or tattletale on them with the Gek, or just refuse.
Yeah. Some of those, yeah.
And I decided to tattletale on them, and I guess it was the right response because I got rewarded.
Yeah. And that's the thing. I think there was one guy I was watching, I can't remember his name, but I think he hates the Korvax and the Atlas. So his whole thing is, I'm rebelling against Atlas. You know, they're the bad guys. We have to, this is a cult religion, and we have to overthrow Atlas. They're evil. Okay, that's a cool way to play the game. So it seems to me like there are ways for you to connect with the NPCs if you want to.
Oh yeah.
I think there's just a ton, and it blows my mind that these are created somehow procedurally through some little seed. Like when I go on these planets and the behavior of some of these animals, like when they see you and they're like, oh, you're too close, I'm running away. All that stuff, that's just, they aren't doing that by hand, blows my mind, because I go onto the planets and it kind of feels like I'm on a planet. And when I blow something up and the sentinels like swoop over and look at me, like, what? What did you just do? I'm like, hey,
Yeah, they check it out for a couple seconds and then they rush over to you and stare at you in your face. It's like,
yeah. I think that to me, there's a lot of ambiance to these worlds that I'm enjoying.
As far as future updates, like leaving multiplayer, because we already know that off the table, what would you like to see in the game? I'm not. The freighter thing doesn't really mean anything to me at all. I don't know really why I would want a freighter. Base building seems interesting to me because I want to know what type of bases we can build and why we would build them. Would we be able to set NPCs in them? Like, what would we put in them if we built a base? Would we be deciding that we want to do an operations center or a transmission tower, or can we set purposes for the bases, and how would that affect? Yeah, see, that's another thing that
overall gameplay.
I've been sitting down pondering. Like it, I asked myself, okay, they've already admitted to adding base building and owning freighters, but what can you do with just the base building? You're going to build a base. What are you going to do? A lot of people would have fun role playing, but other people are going to look at it like, oh, what? I'm just supposed to play house, But so And then with the freighters, okay, so maybe it has a bunch of slots. You can just bank so much resources. That's pretty cool. You'll never run out of anything. But maybe you could store maybe 3 ships. But then at the same time, you know, we're only looking at the cosmetic side of the ships because the way that they all handle is exactly the same. So would they add in different ship mechanics? You know, like Sean Murray said, that some would move like they were slow and heavy, other ones would move like they're nimble and quick. So base building of freighters.
Would we be able to own more than one ship?
Right. I would hope so. If you're going to have a freaking freighter, come on, man. There's a lot of room in that thing. But, you know, with the base building and the freighters, are we looking at extra gameplay, like something else that would go with that? Like you said, a purpose to build a base or a purpose to own a freighter. I would hope to think so. But I don't want to overthink it, you know, because we've done too much of that with this game already, is overthinking certain things.
Yeah.
But I would just hope that there's something more than just building a base and owning a freighter.
Yeah, so when I played Wizard 101, we had people in the community that would hold, there was one grandmother that loved holding decorating contests. And she would give away prizes and all this stuff. So probably once a month at least, or every couple of months, she would hold a decorating contest, especially during holidays. And it would be fun every time they came out with new pieces of furniture or new things to decorate with. People would go crazy, and you'd go visit their houses, and they would have built mazes on their houses or done all this crazy stuff. So I can see that appealing to people if other people can come and see what it looks like.
Yeah.
But if nobody can come see what it looks like, well, I mean, it doesn't necessarily mean that much. And again, I kind of would like for it to be functional, maybe to some degree. The other thing we have to figure out kind of is what's up with the Cthulhu abandoned buildings. And where is that story going to go?
Right, yeah. Yeah, I don't know. But, you know, really quick.
And how is that related to Atlas?
Is it?
I think it is. The red orb taking over. I think it might be, but you know, speculation.
Yeah, right. It's dangerous. If we're not keeping a level head, but you know what, I think that they've always had building planned for this game, because if you look at some of the features that are in the game that we have right now that don't make any sense, like turning off and on the lights. Mm-hmm. Come on, why? Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Did you see the YouTube video where the dad was going around? A dad plays No Man's Sky. He's got these little tiny clips put together in this video where he's turning off every light in the universe.
So the reason that's funny to me is I right after college I went and spent 3 months in Tokyo at my I was dating a Japanese girl at the time, and I stayed with her parents for 3 months. Uh-huh. And it was so funny because I learned there that all families are the same. There was a moment where the dad walked into the living room, and the light was off. He turns the light on, and he stops, and he gives a look like he forgot something, and he leaves the room. And the mom walks in, and she looks around, and she's like, why is this light on and nobody's in the room? So she turns it off, and she leaves the room. And then the dad walks back in, and he's like, I could have sworn I turned the lights on. And I'm like, that happens everywhere. That happens everywhere. Why do you have this light on if nobody's in the room? You don't need the light on. Just turn this light on. That happens everywhere. So I love that still that's the dad playing No Man's Sky. Yes, I got to turn all the lights off if nobody's going to be using them. Right. Why have them on?
But that's, that seems like a functionality that you would have if you built your own base. You can go in and turn on lights and turn off lights. I don't know, maybe it's going to use power, and you wouldn't want to leave the light on because you're going to have to go out and get some isotope for it. Who knows?
It's right.
But you know, it does seem like a building functionality of a prop that you can put in your home, turn it off and on. And I just think that it's something that they've always planned. It just feels that way. And what's up with the spinning the chair?
I know, right?
Every time I come to one, I spin it. Every time I come to one, I'd spin it. I don't know why.
Because you can. It's there.
Right.
Why not? I hear you. Yeah, almost every time I have a thing about hitting the pretty much everything except for the damn multi-tool. Once I maxed out the multi-tool, I think that was my real moment of disappointment. For some reason, I thought the multi-tool would go up to 30 or something like that, so I got really bummed when I got to 24 and couldn't find it. For some reason, I don't come across other 24 multi-tools. Everything else I come across is 23. And so there's even some cosmetic multi-tools that I like, but it's 23 instead of 24, so I won't take them. Yeah. Certainly won't pay for them. Yeah, all those little things that give you health and maximize your health on those tetrahedrons that are on the desks and stuff. I always touch those things.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's pretty funny. And I wish I went into one of those little one person. Well, I guess this wasn't a one person hut because there were two beds in there. One of those little small huts.
Yeah.
There were two beds in there, and there was some kind of monitor right over the beds as if they were watching porn.
What?
They could have been watching TV, Netflix or something. I don't know. But I'm wondering why you need the monitor over two beds. They have some interesting setups, and I guess especially if that's procedurally generated, that's, I don't know, it boggles my mind that it's coming up with stuff like that.
Yeah.
And gives us some little hints of how crazy the future can be with procedural generation, because it's doing a phenomenal job, I think, with this game. So again, this is one of the things that was a big pillar for EverQuest Next, that you would have these places and they would be able to come up with quests and things for you to do that would be procedurally generated. And this is the first game that I've been in where I can really see that potential firsthand, experience that potential firsthand for where our gaming experiences could go from here. So I think it should be a big success. I think Hello Games should feel like it's a success because it's done a lot of really cool stuff. But
yeah, I cannot wait to see someone take this and run with it. You know, like maybe just create a real life-size planet. You know, just a real, you know, with and with as much content as No Man's Sky has, just fit that into one planet. I think that'd be really, really, really super cool. But you know, you see things like Star Citizen now has procedural planets that they're adding into the game, and I'm like a little fangirl when it comes to Star Citizen. Not many people know that because I've had a channel where, you know, it's been No Man's Sky focused, and I didn't want, I don't know, to seem like I was turning my back on No Man's Sky throughout the whole thing, but I've always wanted to talk about Star Citizen. And not that I love it any more than No Man's Sky. I love it. I love all games equally. But I think that, you know, Star Citizen is really going places, and I cannot wait to play the final version of that when it comes out.
Yeah, I think I'm more focused on dual. Well, up until now, most of the games that I've played have been fantasy, and I've been wondering what I would do in a sci-fi game. And so when I look at Star Citizen, I'm like, yeah, I don't see what my role in Star Citizen would be.
Okay.
For Dual Universe, it's a voxel game. I know some people from Landmark who are great shipbuilders in Landmark, so I'm really looking forward to seeing what they're going to do in Dual Universe.
Right.
But that was a kind of no-brainer for me because, like, yeah, I will help them gather resources so that they can build these great things, and maybe, hopefully, I will be sometimes a crew member on one of their multi-crew ships.
Yeah.
And so I see what I want to do in Dual Universe. So I see a role for me in Dual Universe, which I'm still not sure about with Star Citizen. But, and so it's, probably because it's a voxel game and Star Citizen is not in that sense. But, yeah, procedural generation, if they're adding that in, that could be that could be interesting to monitor to see where that goes.
That's one of the things that really drew me into Dual Universe was the did you see the interview that I did with him?
Yes, of course.
He mentions that in the interview that, I asked him, would it take a community to build certain things? And you just said something about gathering resources for them. That's what drew me in the most, that there's going to be these operations, these construction sites out in space that is being built by all these people that are working towards one cause to make this amazing, powerful star base that can protect that planet that it's orbiting. That right there I think is what drew me in. And usually our time to play games, I'm a little bit different since I'm like a one game guy. I usually play a game for a long time, but generally people will play games for maybe tops half a year and then move on to something else. Uh-huh. So if they mentioned on their Kickstarter $10 to $13 per month, which isn't bad. If you only play it for 6 months, then that's a $60 price tag.
Right.
You can move on to the next game if you like. But after about 6 months, I'm pretty sure you're going to be well suited in the game to be able to start buying some of your monthly tickets with some in-game cash.
Yeah, well, this is the promise that I saw in EverQuest Next, and I hope that this happens more in games, but I can see this happening in a game like Dual Universe, where you've actually built your city. Because I'm like, if I spend 2 or 3 months building my city, I'm really going to be invested in defending that city. Because I just spent... it's not like somebody else spent their time and effort building it, and I'm just hanging out there. I helped build it from scratch, even if I just gathered the resources. So I'm going to be invested in defending it. Or the same thing with a multi-crew ship. And I'm hoping that what happens is that, maybe I could be an engineer in engineering. So my job on the ship is to maintain the health of the warp drives or something like that.
Right.
And so maybe I'm not piloting and maybe I'm not doing the weapons, but I'm essentially taking care of the medical needs of the ship itself. So I'm hoping that we'll have roles and spots like that, and that those are the type of things that I would look forward to in a sci-fi game that had spacefaring. But
yeah, I agree.
We'll see.
I agree. All right, so are you in No Man's Sky? Are you going to wait? Are you going to make that final jump? Are you going to?
I'm making the final jump because I want to start over. And if I thought that multiplayer was coming in quickly enough, I would wait so that I would be able to try and hook up with you or a couple of my other buddies close to the center. But I don't think we're going to be able to see each other, so.
Yeah.
I'm going to go ahead and start. But I'm looking forward. I'm glad that you're not. Because we need different people to do different stuff. So we can figure out different aspects of the game.
I want to find somebody and just be in the same place. I don't care if I could see him or not. And I've said that many years ago in SubCast. I said, guys, I even if you can't see each other, that journey, that trek to finally cross the galaxy, to be in the same place at the same time, even if you cannot see one another, to look out of a window or look at the same star in the sky and say, I made it. We made it. We made this adventure. It was our game. That's what we did in No Man's Sky. And now we're here. Even though we can't see each other, we're here in the same place. And that's...
How close are you to the center?
I'm about halfway. I can't remember exactly how many light years, Dude, I goof around too much. You know, like, I mean, I wouldn't
It's
call it
so
goofing
easy,
around.
I guess.
I get sidetracked. I'm like, you know, I'll tell you, like, I'm not going to build my Theta warp reactor on my ship because I plan on getting a new one. I just don't want to waste the time and effort. But then all of a sudden something will crawl up my butt one night and I'm like, I'm building that darn thing right now. So let's go find some gold, baby.
Yep.
You know?
Yep.
And then there goes traveling to the center. It's postponed for about another 12 hours.
Yeah, and well, that should make up the time for you because you should be able to get there sooner just because you can travel farther.
Yeah.
But the same thing would happen to me. I would get to, you know, I'm trying to repair my Theta drive and kind of looking for gold, but then I get on a planet that looks really, really cool, and then the animals look cool, so now I want to catalog the animals, and now I'm kind of close to getting all of them cataloged, so maybe I should take the time and, you know, get 100% cataloged and upload those, and or maybe I get attacked by too many crabs, and I'm like, I'm killing all those.
Yeah, I've done that. I've been there, man. Those crabs seem to be very universal. They're everywhere, man. They're just like the gravitino balls and the vortex cubes. You know, when you land and you're on a planet, you hear this. You're like, oh God, they're here. They must have latched onto the ship.
And sometimes I get to places where they're all docile, and that's fine.
Oh, I've never seen them docile.
Oh yeah.
I would have killed them anyway.
Some giant ones. Yeah. And I love stuff like that. So I first, like I said, I'm normally a pacifist.
Yeah.
But even when I started playing original EverQuest, I was out and these like cobalt pups would just attack me for no reason. So I'm killing them as soon as I see them. And then the thing that I loved that first grabbed me about MMORPGs was I could hear their little barks off in the distance, and my ears would perk up, and I would orient on the sound. There are cobalt pups over there. I'm killing them. I don't care. That's the one thing I'm gonna kill in this game. And I love when a game can grasp you like that and be like, yeah, I don't care if they are. They could be leaving me alone, but I've been hit one too many times.
Yeah. What I would like,
crab,
I would like
him
to
off.
see in the game is a common foe for everybody. I know we have the pirates. I know we have the
That's the Gek.
Sentinels, and
And the Gek.
well, you see, like Daisy. Daisy has the zombies, but they're not really a threat. They're more just of annoyance. It's the other people that are the threat in Daisy. But I would like for No Man's Sky to have more in depth on the pirates, for them to be more of an adversary, for there to be a threat while I'm on the planet and I'm out mining and I'm 30 minutes away from my ship. You know, I want to be jumped by pirates. And then maybe as multiplayer comes in, maybe that's a good reason to join up, so that way you have help against these pirates, and maybe you can even attack them unprovoked and find a source for them instead of them just warping out of nowhere and attack you. I feel like the pirates is something very strong that they can build on in this game that would make it so much more scary at times, more entertaining at times, and thrilling.
Yeah, I was thinking what would happen for me. What I was looking forward to was I was thinking that as I destroyed these Gek ships, it would decrease my standing with the Gek.
Right.
But it didn't do that. And then sometimes I warp into a system and I go ahead and defend one of the ships, and it turns out I've increased my status with the Gek. I don't want to increase my status with the Gek. I want to decrease it. But I can't tell that it's a Gek system until I get down to the planet and start seeing the knowledge stones or seeing the buildings that are there.
Yeah.
So I kind of wish that I could figure out what kind of system I was in as soon as I warped into a space to see if it was Gek or Vy'keen or Korvax.
Yeah.
But because it seems like the different pirates can be whatever race, depending on whatever system you're in.
Right.
Although they're probably all Gek.
I don't know. I've had a ton of Viking pirates, man.
I know, but I'm just saying if they're influenced by the Gek.
The Gek remind me of the Ferengi from Star Trek.
Okay.
The greed,
especially
the backstabbing.
And when they originally appeared, they were really, really super warrior like. Too. They were greedy, but they were also very violent. So that's interesting. Yeah. I loved how that story unfolded again because I just was not expecting it.
Yeah. All right, man. And we've been streaming for quite a bit of time.
Yep.
So.
I could talk about this for weeks. So.
What's the name of your YouTube channel?
Diggs, DYGZ, Briarthorn. I think that's it. Twitch.tv is just Diggs, DYGZ.
Okay, go ahead. I already know it, but just so that when I'm editing the video, I can just find it in one source. Give me all of your links, and I'll put it in the description of the video.
Okay. Sounds great. Yep. I will do that for you.
All right, and if anybody hasn't seen a completionist of No Man's Sky yet, check out this guy's videos. I clicked on one of his videos, and sure enough, he was sitting there uploading his discoveries and getting cash for them, and he had discovered every single animal and every single trade station, every single outpost, and I'm like, what the heck? That's some patience right there. And some.
I didn't always do that, but sometimes I did. Yeah.
All right. Well, dude, I appreciate you for coming on the channel. It's been awesome having you on. It's been a pleasure.
All right. It's been fun talking to you for sure.
All right.
Keep up the good vids because they're all good. So slow down if you have to, but I would love to see a No Man's Sky vid from you at least once a week. That would be great.
Yeah, I took a week vacation, kind of collect my thoughts. Maybe hopefully the haters will stop commenting. But we'll see how things turn out. All right. All right, everybody in Twitch chat, thank you for coming out to the show. I will see you guys in the next video. Until next time. All right, see you, buddy.
Ciao, guys.
Bye.